All right, so should we call the meeting to order? I guess, to start. I'll look right for the pledge. Doug, you want to lead us?
I allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have to look for this or? Yeah. Okay, so, the draft item 3, the draft meeting minutes from.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
All right, any discussion? No. All in favor? Okay,
Okay.
great.
And then, item 4, we did not receive a ton of feedback. I sent a reminder out to folks to try to get more feedback. I actually was thinking we were going to get done, so I was happy when we got a couple people that wrote back. So the only people we really heard from was yourself, Doug, with the attachment that you sent and some additional costs.
Mm-hmm.
And Shane wrote back.
Oh, we did. I didn't see his email.
Yeah.
Was that today?
No, it was the day I sent it out, I believe. And, hang on a second. He wrote back just to me,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
July 7th.
Yesterday. He flew back today from vacation in Italy, so.
Yes, that was just nice.
All right, good. So, got some feedback.
So we got some feedback. So I'll share what he said, and we'll start with him, and then Doug, you could take us through your additional things. The only other person that I heard from was Jim Myers, who said that he went through the attachments from our meeting that we shared with everybody, and the notes of the ideas we already had, and he thought they all sounded good. So that would make sense.
Okay.
Okay. So, for Shane, thanks for your work on this. I have a couple of comments. Regarding improving the budget book, could we add a column on the headcount detail page to show the expense of associated benefits for each position in a department, i.e., show the full cost of a position? So that, to me, I mean, once you know your Benny rate, right? And I know we had said it's like 35% approximately, 40%. I mean, that I think would be a maybe, I don't know how big of an ask that is.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if, at GE, we just used an average of 35%. I just put it in there and, we're pretty close. So, I mean, obviously it's, not an exact number.
Yeah.
But I think it's something to give
It's
thought
something,
to.
we'll take a look at it. We
Maybe-
go by position is
Yeah.
the timing.
Yeah, I think that if you can get, behind the scenes, if you have your true total salaries and your benefit line items, rather than getting it by position, by person,
Well, certainly.
because you could take the number and just figure out what the average percentage is for the whole budget, and then we could use that. Because when we were talking, you had said it was generally 35 to 40% in the meetings, but if we can get it nailed down or fine-tuned a little bit, I think that could be helpful. I don't know that you need to fully blow it out per position.
Is
Because
it
positions also, I mean, that tells people, like, who's on our benefits plan, right? I mean, if you put the actual benefits rate for each position, you can see who's on our if somebody chooses not to take our benefits plan or this or that, you can probably get some kind of intel out of that shouldn't be shared.
Also,
Right.
for each position, not each individual, but each.
Well, the positions
Each
are,
title?
every title, for the
Yeah,
people are,
let us take a look at that.
yeah, he says, for each position in each
For
department.
each position, yeah. And
Which is pretty
it's
specific.
medical and contribution to retirement too, right? There's two.
Yeah, and
Numbers?
it's fully benefit, it's everything, it's your taxes, that the company pays on behalf of the
So it's like,
security, all that.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It might be closer to 40%.
We have 35 to 40.
35, 40, so.
That's what I'm saying. You could probably take the fully voted budget and figure out the exact percentage without giving away the total number.
I think it would be really helpful when a department is asking for an addition to headcount to have that explicit in terms of the salary and identify the exact benefit costs for, because we always look at
In the
that.
range of 35 or 40%. Yes.
Let's take a look at it before we finalize the process and come out here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's fair. So, I'm just gonna put that Tom and Ben. You guys hired a controller, right?
Yeah,
And
Did they start?
she started?
she started, last week.
Oh, good.
Looking forward to meeting her.
Excellent.
I saw the notice. I don't know where I saw it.
We'll send it to,
It's something.
send it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We
Yeah, they think maybe I mentioned it, like, was that?
No, you didn't. No.
You're usually on top of the stuff. I'm like,
So you still have one more opening?
Internal audit.
Internal
That's
audit.
gonna be a tough,
Yeah.
because of the salary.
What else has changed?
Okay. The next comment I have is regarding the suggestion about joint meetings to streamline the process. I worry that the participants would, more participants would only lead to longer meetings than I would who would run a joint meeting for the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance, the SS or BOS. So, generally, it doesn't seem to benefit any of the elected bodies. And we also we wouldn't have say on that. So he's not liking the idea, obviously, and I don't know if he has the power to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talking to those flow charts that we,
Yeah.
that I had, last time we met.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the charter says about that.
I don't know, I just
No, it's true.
understand about, if we can even do that. I don't think it gives the board, the one reason that I haven't been on the Board of Finance and the RTM, I think it's, even with that time span that happens, listening to the Board of Selectmen meetings, I've listened to all of them and helping come up with questions. A few weeks later, we're going through our process for the month. You're getting additional information during that period of time where we can kind of fine tune the numbers, some of the benefits and things like that, pension, all kinds of stuff coming in. And then the RTM has the advantage of listening to those calls, and then they have more time to, fine tune it as well. I definitely think there's a lot of repetition, and you're certainly asking the department heads to basically give the same spiel 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
However, that's,
The other thing that I didn't thoroughly think through when I put those flow charts together was politics, party representation. So if you have, the Board of Selectmen can have 2 from one party, it has to have 1 from another.
mhm.
And then you have your Board of Finance. So I guess I'm thinking you could have all sorts of permutations of different party members in each of those, and that might make, which this time to me, because it's my first time here, it all seemed like it went really smoothly. And you had the unanimous vote of the Board of Finance.
That's not that common. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
we
Pretty rare.
I think we worked very hard
It was
to get
extraordinary.
to a unified budget.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of give and take on both sides, but that has not generally.
So I was
last 10
probably
years, that's not.
Not the norm.
I probably took away from this year's experience that, hey, you could have everyone meet together and it will be just flowing when it might not be that way.
But there's probably a charter. I think it's described in the charter that
The charters.
it lays out those meetings, so.
I'm sure it does, and I'm sure that the voting, just when you even get into that, would be how would you even vote on it?
Yeah.
Because you have minimums for every board,
Mhm.
with the exception of, so Board of Ed has minimums, Board of Finance has a minimum, Board of Selectmen has a minimum, RTM doesn't, party representation.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And with an RTM, that's basically 100%, 96% Democrats, which I personally think is a travesty, but I'm not going to go there because I do think when I was on the RTM, it was phenomenal. And it got to 2020, and every issue that came before the RTM was really debated, and it was great.
Well, there's political science theory behind what you're saying, which is historically,
Checks and balances.
if you have two sides, Republicans and Democrats, who are equally balanced, they tend to come to loggerheads. Whereas if you have one that's like, at 60-30, the 30, they have to negotiate, they have to come up with creative ways to get any kind of progress going. So what you're saying is exactly, I would say, is exactly right, political science.
Well, it's not something we can talk about, it's not relevant, but
And there are
something that
and
at additional charter meetings down the road should be considered, but that's not, again,
there are a couple of things we can talk about that make that easier.
yeah.
Okay.
It had been considered 2 charter revisions ago, and it didn't go anywhere. Right, to shorten, to truncate it. And
I have not been involved in, the charter went on when I was on the RTM, and then it went on again.
Yeah.
And obviously, how much time we spend even on the committee / board that we're on, so
Yes.
to go to all those charter meetings above and beyond would be pretty hard.
It's rather remarkable how much time you guys spend on the Board of Finance going through the budget. It's really remarkable.
And it's necessary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're the ones that really dig into
I
it.
mean, we go into the weeds. What, did you have anything else, or just those 2?
No.
Okay.
The only other person that gave comment was Doug, and I'm gonna
Okay.
defer to him to let us, if you wouldn't mind, I have the document, but if you would mind having a hard copy, that would be wonderful. I know you had a lot, Angela, you had some great ideas,
I
I felt like you
have.
expanded on some of the ideas we talked about, so I thought it was good.
Well, thanks. Well, it's either a blessing or a curse, but the way my brain tends to work, I tend to look at things and take them apart and put them back together. So, okay, so the first page, so I just walk through these ones?
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
Sure.
So the org chart sounds pretty much like what we were talking about with Shane's, but I was thinking that we ought to have on the org chart several years of headcount, whether it's 4 or 5, just so you can see the progression. What I'm doing, by the way, what struck me as I was thinking about these different items is I'm trying to pack more information into the documents that you first get.
Mm-hmm.
So that your questions don't have to sort of cut through higher layers. Your questions can be more focused to the things that are being put here. And if you pack the budget book with more information, the people who are putting the budgets together have to think through more why they're doing it and what they're doing. So that was just kind of my background.
So are you, just to dive into these a little bit, because I like to kind of almost put a visual in my mind.
Yep,
So you're
yep.
talking about something along the lines of you have the chart, the diagram, so to speak, with the positions, names, et cetera, and maybe at the bottom, you have a little note
Yeah,
that says, total head
With a
count,
list of the
20,
years.
27, 28,
yes.
30,
Yes.
the last actual head count at year end for this budget year, like maybe give just a little bucket at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's helpful. I mean, we talked about putting together the page of new positions, open positions, things like that. But one thing that I certainly do is I have my budget books for the last 4 years, Board of Finance, now 5 years. I go back and look.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an org chart, that was part of the reason why it became such an unpleasant conversation. However, I have notes, you have total headcount, you have the headcount page,
Yeah.
and I would put that up against the others just to kind of look, I like the year-over-year look.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that would be very helpful.
The other,
I don't know that you necessarily have to go back 5 years, maybe 3. 3 might be good, I don't want to, I think that, any additional information that you can give on Snapshot is very helpful. It'll reduce the number of potential questions
Right.
that you're going to have, and
and pushes, and it gives you a direction of where this thing is headed, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that'd be very helpful. So I like that idea.
The other thought I wondered is, because the budget book, pretty thick document, would it be smart to have a separate book of org charts with the head count. So in other words, this is more just the financial exhibit. It's just another thought.
I think you're only talking about adding in, maybe 2 pages per org, so I prefer to keep everything kind of together.
Yeah.
I actually, myself, prefer the old way with the binder, because I'm always whipping my pages out and writing notes versus the spiral.
You have to do 2 versions.
Yeah.
Some people like the binder.
So you like the binder?
No, I like the binder, you like the spiral now, so when I do the.
You like the binder?
Well, he doesn't understand.
Yeah, I like the binder. I don't want the binder.
You guys just don't understand, you know.
Spiral to me, I'm like this and
I think we next year, I'll do 5 spirals and everything else is gonna be. If that's the challenge,
Reserve a binder for me.
if that's our challenge, then you can do it.
I like
I wasn't gonna make a big deal of it, but I don't think it's gonna add too much to it.
Yeah, I think what we're gonna do is as we are in the process of going with templates, doing instructions,
Mhm.
packets, and we're just gonna try and look at each bid and try to incorporate as much as we can. If somebody says you gotta put that in, then, we'll take a really, really hard look at it.
Well, one thing I'm gonna say, because certainly, and we're gonna keep going for this, yes, however, we have asked for feedback
Mhm.
twice, and if people don't take the opportunity to give feedback, if they're gonna sit there and complain,
Right,
I'm not gonna be happy.
right.
Because to me, you were asked to give feedback, and if you're gonna not say anything, and I think that we share this when we have a
Absolutely.
committee meeting,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna say, you all were asked twice, I understand everybody's busy, we're all busy. But if you're gonna sit and complain next budget season that we should have done this, save your breath, because I don't wanna hear it.
Right.
I really don't.
Yeah.
Next time, offer your opinion when it matters. So, anyway, Doug, your second
Okay,
question, B?
So on B, actually B and C kind of work together, but for item B, this is saying, let's put together the 3 or 4 major risks that face each department. Because each department head really knows their business, their part of the business, as well as anybody, maybe better because they're managing it. So the idea is, there are pages like this in the budget book where there's some text. The idea would be to give a little more direction for those text pages to say, okay, what you got there is good, but please add, a paragraph, or a few dot points and say, these are the biggest risks. That way, when it comes to the Board of Finance or Board of Selectmen, or you guys in advance, looking over them, you really get to see, what.
I would almost take it a step further, and maybe you can have a little box with just some bullets, but, a traditional SWOT, 1 or 2 bullets.
Yeah.
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, because it's not just about the risk, because there could be some really good, outstanding opportunities.
Yeah, I just put the same thing down. I would do risk and opportunity.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as far as the vision goes, for the 3-year outlook, I personally, that's how I did FP&A. We were talking about that at the last meeting here. I think that for some of our budget department owners, the outlook or the composition of the budget is primarily headcount, by finance.
Right. Yeah.
So that's very mundane year-over-year. Headcount is really the driver, but you have your standard procedures. Unless you're doing like a big conversion and you're bringing in consultants, you're moving from Oracle to an SAP or something's going on, you're generally going to be relatively flat. When you get to other things like Parks and Rec or something like that, if you have a new idea on revenue generation, like let's say, for example, that we are going to put a restaurant in on the water and we're going to get some kind of, money from that. So like it could be a future opportunity as far as revenue streams or if, you had a major event happening like a new golf course coming or this or that. So I think that I think that could even go into like a little blurb on potential changes looking ahead in forward years.
Well, and I wonder if they're doing that anyway for select person, as each department head presents their budget, they ought to be also calling those things out.
We're going to try to we are going to incorporate more of that into the book. In terms of, more detailed assumptions.
Yeah, because we're talking about discretionary, non-discretionary, that's very helpful.
a vision, basically.
Yeah, Mr.
And, I would say that, generally speaking, when the first select person kicks off the first night and gives their ideas, it might be good to even incorporate some of that there at a high level, consolidated look.
Yep.
And then do a deeper dive when you have the individual
Yep.
departments in. Okay. So I think both of them.
Yeah, so the idea is, if you guys set out a little more direction for each department head, you'll get a write-up, but you'll have some comments.
Yeah, I think we're doing right now, right? Exactly.
Just like a consistent template, you mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Okay, and the fourth one, this is the snapshot of the budget. This is the page that
Yeah.
Christine puts together.
Yes.
It's got all this data,
Mhm.
and you'll see a lot of my stuff. What I'm thinking is, by having multiple years of data, you can see directionally where things are heading. Whereas if you have just one page and 1 year, things could be going in up or down direction, and you have to hope that you get it out through your questioning. So this would obviously have to be redesigned, or there'd have to be a subsequent page.
Yeah. That could be a lot of clutter, though.
Yeah, I think,
I don't want to do that.
yeah, we don't want to clutter it too much, but I think if there is a significant change
Mhm.
prior year, that should get
Yeah.
addressed someplace.
Yeah.
So,
Well, one of the things that I've got, I think, on the next page, which we can come to, is, or the, I can't remember if it's this one, but it's, let's have, it's not only like the top 10 risks together, but let's have, and it's basically, let's put as much as we can behind looking ahead and showing trends. And when you look ahead, the best way to look ahead is to first look back. Yes. Anyway, okay.
in terms of, just a quick note on looking ahead, one of the things we've talked about doing is incorporate in the budgets sort of a multi-year plan. And we're going to try and wrap up the budget for the current year and then sort of tack on that, a 4 or 5 year plan. But it actually came up when we met with the rating agencies this year.
Yeah.
And Craig was there. And we said that we are going to try and this year incorporate at least a condensed multi-year plan.
How far out? 3, 5?
3 to 5. Once you go 5, it's
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 3 is probably good.
Item F here is killing me.
What,
Item F.
oh, well, given that you've got 10 years of these things in your closet.
Oh, I'm a paper person. I'm not
me
a
too.
paper clean, I'm not, but I don't want to jump ahead.
Okay, item D. So this was another attempt to get at some efficiency of the review processes. So if you're going to have a COO at some point, I looked at all the different budgets, different departments, and there were 31 of them that have budgets that are less than $1 million. So the thought was, you guys have a powwow with the department and the COO, and then the COO puts together, with your help obviously, a summary that goes to the Board of Finance. So you don't have, and the Board of Selectmen, so you don't have 4 days of going through all sorts of little specifics. It's just a thought to.
So I think I don't know, again, we'd have to revert also to what the charter says on how that's laid out. But I think that there is a belief that the COO position could be construed as political. It's been discussed a lot at the meetings when we talk about hiring somebody, and how ideally you would have somebody in that position, even your CFO, and that's in the house and considered political, because a couple I've gotten adios as soon as the new person came in, which I think is unfortunate. So I think that the people want to, for an elected official, it's construed that you have somebody there representing the public, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's where you get, to me, like a third-party view of who got elected to represent the people and their voice. And I know for our board, we tried for sure to bring down the number of people that came, if there was like really no change. And then even that became a problem, quite frankly, where, we didn't have the voter registration
Right.
group come
Right.
and do a
Right.
page, and then at voting night, we're getting conflicting, it was a passionate conversation, because we're hearing different things. And that's a very small budget, but it gets, again, very controversial.
We have
So-
cutting a little bit of that.
What's that?
Because it was about the tabulating, another an extra machine, and we actually changed the budget a little bit, even though it was a tiny budget, so.
We're hearing one thing from one person,
Yeah.
and you get, it just, so they want to bring them in. And quite frankly, that should have been brought up in a much earlier meeting when we first looked at the schedule. Because we get time to look at the schedule and who's coming on what day. At that point, again, you should say, hey, I want to voter, this group, or the other big one that became an issue was all of our donations.
Yeah.
And now they wanted people that get donations. And those like $10,000 donations, $5,000 donations,
Right.
which we ultimately landed that we would bring a handful in every quarter meeting.
Every few meetings.
So I do think that, I would have to default to, the charter and other things. However, I do think that there's certainly a value to going through stuff and vetting it in the public setting and
Yeah.
you
It gives the
do
department
get
a
people
chance.
that dial in and ask questions and will email us, and we got email today from we're constantly hearing from folks.
And there's also the value of the department head getting their time.
Exactly, there is time, yeah.
The leadership team.
It may be the one time of the year they come before us.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so I was just floating an idea to say,
Mhm.
because,
Yeah, I think that, when I was doing budgets, I think it's exciting. I'm one of these nerdy people that love doing a budget and love comparing my budget to actual and getting really excited when I'm just like, thinking along the right lines. I think it's a time for sure for the budget department heads to shine and really talk about what they're doing for the town, because I've learned so much from being part of, these meetings and what people do, and, and they really are, we have remarkable people that work for this town. And I think it's a sense of pride for them to come in and have the opportunity to really talk about, some of these organizations are a huge number of employees that they're running.
Mhm.
The DPW, Parks and Rec,
Yeah.
fire department, the police, it's to me really important to have them shine and talk about where the taxpayers.
big ones like police and fire would obviously be more than $1 million, and they would go before.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't know, I have to look at, again, it's gonna defer to like a proxy anyway.
Yeah, and it might depend on how you feel about the COO gets hired, and I honestly hadn't thought about the political nature of that job, which is, could be.
It doesn't be non-political, that's the way it's.
And that's the way I was thinking about it, but whenever,
I think that in a perfect world, it would be non-political. You have certainly people that I don't think that do come across to me as very bipartisan.
So one thing that was leading me to this idea, when you have the education budget, so the education budget is 60% of the town budget. When the education budget comes before, let's say, the Board of Finance, is it Michael Testani? Is it, I know he's got a finance director that works with him.
It's my superintendent.
Is it those two guys?
No, they usually have, yes, it is those two, but then he has, at times, he'll bring in others. So he has Frank, who's the finance.
Right.
Who worked in, Tom's organization.
Yeah.
And now he's over on the Board of Enterprise. And then, occasionally, like a couple of years ago, not this year, but he brought in the head of our special education, which is really, where a lot of money goes, but it's amazing to hear what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because they're saving the taxpayers by improving our special ed in the district. They're not having to send students out of the district and saving millions of dollars, and it's been pretty well, respected through the state.
So I was thinking, and this is not necessarily logical, but I was thinking, well, if the Superintendent Tristani comes in with one or two people, couldn't that be analogous to the COO coming in and presenting to the board? Or similarly, if we're saying every department head should have a chance to come before the Board of Selectmen, maybe there should be more people from the Education Department coming in before the groups, in addition to
Well, the thing is, in terms of their budget, we can't dictate where they are to make cuts. We can ask lots of great questions, but I don't know, we don't have that ability to say, this line item, you gotta reduce it by 10. We can do that on the town side.
the charter thing.
Yeah, we can, they report into the state, the Board of Ed. And
Well, they have
so
their own board.
They have their own,
So the only thing that we can do is give them a reduction in totality.
right, and they have to figure out how to
And
meet.
they have to distribute how it goes.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying, if I understand it correctly, is using that as an example on how they manage the budget presentation, you would say that the COO would go in and present these several budgets that are small, and he's there to answer all the questions, as opposed to the department head, so he has a thorough understanding. And then if there was questions, he takes them back, as opposed to having 30 people shuffling in and out. You have one person. I think that sounds like a good idea. I don't think, to me, that does not sound political at all. I don't think that's a problem. But, you'd still be asking all the same questions. But I would love to, do you have an example, because you said there's 30 budgets that are under $1 million?
Yes.
That sounds like a large, are you including each charity, or what are you including in it?
Well, I was pretty simplistic. I went through every page. I just took my budget book and flipped through it page by page, and when the total on a page was $30 million, like finance, I put it in one bucket, and when it was $25,000.
Like town clerk, certain things like that are definitely out of budget.
Yeah, you could just go through it.
Registration of vote.
And I guess most, if any of those, are they not revenue producing?
Well, town clerk is revenue producing.
Yeah, some of them are,
And
and you'd want to hear it from them.
So clearly, here, I'm just going through it, so clearly the first select person, you want that budget in front of everybody. But the town clerk,
It brings in revenue.
They have a lot of revenue.
There's a lot of revenue.
$2 million of revenue.
right.
So I'd want to hear from the town clerk.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's,
Even though they're expensive.
They're expensive.
so that's a reason not to go.
Right, building on the expense side, not.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But they
Yeah,
got-
I mean, the tax assessor, their budget is under $1 million.
Yeah, but they control,
But
basically, the life of the
You
town.
want to hear from
You
them.
know, registrar of voters, $380,000.
That's so controversial. That's the one that they.
Yeah, you do want to
went
hear from them.
Crazy.
Okay.
On the night of the election,
So I'm batting zero with this.
Well, some people don't come in. There are some that one didn't come in last
No.
year, but I can tell you right now, they're gonna come in this coming year.
Yeah.
Because it was a fiasco, and it's because you've got people working there that don't see eye to eye.
Well, it's political, and that is political. Yeah.
Town P and Z, $810,000.
They bring in revenue though, the building, you want to hear from them.
There's a lot of
Absolutely.
activity in that.
Yeah.
Now, TPC is also very different because it's also more of a strategic conversation on where is the town going.
Actually, have a special meeting.
Correct.
Next week?
That's a huge issue for business development.
So maybe what we're doing in real time is saying, if there is some value to this idea, maybe when the COO is hired, he or she sits down with you guys, goes through it, and says, which ones can we consolidate into one presentation?
Sure.
And, but take an educated as opposed to my very, uneducated view.
Yeah, it may be like 5 to 10 versus 30.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of small ones, when you look down at the cultural and recreation, the marina, that's handled by Anthony Calabrese. And so he gives a 30-second spiel when he's going over all of his areas of expertise.
Yes.
But the marina is always a hot topic.
Oh, always,
Always.
always.
Always a controversial topic, because the waiting list is huge.
I hear that.
Huge, years people wait, and some of the taxpayers get really aggravated because they can't dock for their vote in time. So even though it's not a big budget, it's a time to talk about the issues that exist in that department. And their fees are exceptionally low. That's a big issue. It's hard to vote there as well. That's why everyone wants it, because it's like half the price of right up the street in Bridgeport.
So I've actually got a contradiction in two of my ideas, and you guys have been just too nice to point it out, but this idea of having departments, consolidated under the COO for presentation flies in the face of, well, let's have the department heads give us a 3-year look ahead. Let's have the department heads identify the top 3 risks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to get them to do the look ahead and the risks, maybe you want them in the fact, whether their budget is $50,000 or $500,000, maybe you want them coming in and talking about those angles for the department. So just,
I wouldn't necessarily see it as a contradiction. I think the way I look at this is you're kind of referring to the little ones.
Yeah.
Like registration of voters, that wasn't controversial.
Yeah.
There are a couple that are very small.
Yeah.
That, like, we don't even take,
I sat in on all 4 Board of Selectmen budget hearings, and, I learned a lot, but I was also saying, gosh, this is a huge,
It was pretty high level, those.
they go through pretty quick, though.
They did.
I didn't come in person, because I'm working on it, but I listened, and they do get stuff. Sometimes I think, well, of course, now we're dealing with the cameras, and we voted on them, there's a big special meeting next week in town. But that was a quick conversation during the Board of Selectmen meeting, so cameras become extraordinarily controversial.
yeah.
So, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, the elimination of paper folks against me. Okay,
I was just trying to think outside.
well, that we talked about, I think I'm one of 2 people that don't have the laptop open in front of me at this point at the Board of Finance.
Well, I'm number 3 then.
Not really.
No.
Oh, the Board of Finance.
Finance, no, of the 9.
Yeah, the 9, yeah.
You've been bringing your stuff,
I bring
right?
it, but I like the paper.
Hard
to make notes on
but
the screen.
everyone's having their, it used to just be Jim and I, and it was like,
Yeah.
now everyone has a computer in front of them. I'm not bringing I'm not bringing my computer. I'll be getting Teams from work. Not a chance I'm bringing. And I'm almost nervous to even look at my phone. I want people to be viewing that. I could be playing solitaire.
Right.
Yeah.
I just think it's a terrible look. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
The problem with the budget book can be that it's outdated as soon as it's printed. And we found that, either there are discrepancies.
And if you look at the number of adjustments that the Board of Finance made, 80 different adjustments.
I think just as important as that is the run rate sheet and having that as up to date as possible for the departments that are going to present that night to us. That's really very helpful.
Yeah,
Very helpful.
That gives me the look back, and
Yeah.
then hearing the risks, opportunities, where they're going, having the general conversation gives me, and just look at the run rate or look at the historic, and sometimes you have things that are on time every year. It gives you that, look on how to be able to forecast.
And honestly, looking at the paper book, even if some of the numbers have changed, I'm like you, I like having it to go to, take out of the drawer and look through it and, jog my memory about some of the things we talked about. I've got notes in the margin.
And there may be a charter aspect to this, that perhaps it has to be bound, printed. I don't know.
It has to be something that's published.
Oh, quote unquote published? Okay. So, online to satisfy.
Okay. Item 1, next page. Create a P&L summary page. So this was the idea, we've talked about a number of departments that have revenues. Do you have a expense, revenue, net for each department? You put all those departments with revenue on, not the tax revenue, but everything else, just so you can see sort of the P&L for your business.
Mm-hmm.
I heard But I'm waiting to see Tom's answer.
I'm trying to visualize it in
Yeah.
my head.
So imagine the department list down the left-hand side.
Mhm.
Department
Then you have total revenue, total expense,
expenditures.
and the bottom line net,
then the
whatever it
vary-
is, if it's overall positive or negative, and then you're saying do the same exercise for prior year, and I wouldn't do 5 years. but
Yeah, but a year or two before.
You
And that
follow
way
what
you
you're
can-
saying?
You mean actual for prior years?
All that.
Not budgeted,
Yeah, that's a
actual.
good idea.
Yeah, I'm following, I'm thinking about what we have now. So you have total revenue
Right.
by department, you have total expenses.
So the question is, do you gain any value by having both on the same page?
So what he's saying is you look like this, where you have all the departments listed, correct me if I'm wrong, by the way.
Right.
Then you have just the total number coming off of revenue, the total bottom line number coming off of expense. Are they positive or negative? Most of them are negative, but you get the point. And then maybe showing the same exact, but you have to decide, is it comparing it to budget? Are you comparing it to actual? I think you'd be comparing it to actual, but you wouldn't have the actual for this year, the current year.
Right.
Those
So
three
you could have the
Yeah.
6 months, actual, 6 months budget, and then the rest would be actual.
It's-
I mean, I think it's a good visual.
You know, I guess it's sort of a business look at things. It's just another way, you've got the data, it's another way of consolidating it
Mhm.
and giving you sort of a forest for the trees look at things.
Let us consider that.
Okay. Number 2, you guys, we talked about a lot at the last meeting,
Mhm.
the repository for questions. The one thing I wanted to make sure, the reason I put this in here is when you have a department before you, let's say you're the Board of Finance, and a lot of questions were asked at the Board of Select people, then you want to be able to go to those questions that are specific to the department. Maybe you've got this already, but whatever it's Google Docs or, I know there were a bunch of questions, Bob, that had your name on it because I read
Yeah.
through them. It's just you want to be able to say for this, you don't want to have to go hunt for them. You want to be able to say that for a given department, if you're going through it, here are the 15 questions that have come up, here were the answers,
Right.
and that will spark additional thoughts.
I think the Board of Ed does their staff.
Yeah, they use Google Docs, but the document we used this year, I mean, it was by page. So all of the questions, it was by page, so,
Yeah.
I don't know how Google Docs work. I haven't used that.
It's actually pretty, it looks exactly like Excel. And you can have, many people can go in at the same exact time as you're working on the
Yeah.
same document. And anybody, like if your cell is in one cell, you see, you get the color actually. The one worst you have is, quite frankly, someone could delete or change or override anything, and we don't spend a moment of time. So we don't use them at work, for sure. I used them at one company, but even that was a little, that was my first experience and only experience with really Google Docs.
Yeah.
I know Calvin Project uses it, I don't like it, but that's the Board of Finance decision, I'm in with it.
I think that we'll bring this back.
Well, yeah.
It sounds like Craig was very interested in doing,
I know Rory didn't like it, Craig doesn't like it, Kevin didn't like Google Docs, I mean, that's how we,
I don't know that it needs to be Google Docs. Well,
that's how we.
2 years ago, it was, it had to have been Google.
Yeah,
It was.
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Because when we had the first, committee meeting, he said he wanted to try something different, so that's how we got to the document we're using now.
But now, having used that document for a year, maybe it'll be a fuller
Yeah.
discussion of the Google
Yeah,
Docs.
so what you probably need is a discussion between, here are different tools we could use, here's what we're trying to achieve, which tool fits the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, I think that's whatever you guys want, I don't have a preference.
Yeah.
Okay, item 3, education budget is 60% of the town's overall budget. Could we introduce 10 or a dozen or 8, performance metrics? So these are non-financial. What I'm looking to do is put into place metrics that tell a story. Usually this is several years of metrics. But basically say, just to back up a second, I had a conversation with Jen when she came and met with the RTM at Pequot Library. And I had gone out and I said, where does Fairfield Ward, where does Fairfield Ludlow, where do they rank on the state's overall high schools? And I think Ludlow
Comes
was,
out every year.
pardon?
Benici, I think it is, isn't it that? Where it ranks on?
Yeah, U.S. News and World Report does it, and I think,
I see it in Patch, Lansing.
yeah, I think Ludlow was 17 and Ward was 29 or something like that. But the idea is, and I said to Jen, I said, what is driving that? What can you do as an entity to get the position for Ward from 29 up to 20? What are the things you're doing, not just where are you spending the money, but what are the indicators we could look at as town management and say, these things over the last 3 or 4 years have improved, this one has not improved, what are you doing? Because you can only tell them to cut, but what are you doing to fund that? Yeah, the notion in this is like a number of other things that I think we could consider doing, which is introducing non-financial key performance indicators for each department. What are the 1 or 2 or 3 things that are really critical that makes your department run, that makes sure you're not going to drive.
So in other words, how do they measure up against equivalent municipalities?
Perhaps, yeah.
Or counterparts in other towns in the vicinity? Everybody has DPW.
About that? You're talking about specifically Board of Ed though, right?
No, you're fine, it's all departments, correct?
We've got Board of Ed.
It's a Board of Ed, yeah.
Or you're just saying Board of Ed?
Yeah.
So with
Number
Board of
3, so that there, we've asked questions. I mean, the consistent response is, we do operate very uniquely in the size of our town and number of schools. And, like this year, I think they give lots of, their book has, there's so many details on how much they're spending on
They
different
tell us the blue
things.
ribbon schools. They don't tell us test scores though, and that may be something that we want to see, how we rank in terms of.
This struck me, I know it's incredibly difficult to put together, but it feels kind of like you're getting all the trees, but it's harder to see what the forest is. And as an entity that's 60% of the town budget, seems to me it would be useful to have a little more.
4% of that is headcount.
Well, that's it.
80% is headcount, so,
Well, yeah.
Contractually driven.
Well, in fact, it did the rest of it.
Contractually driven.
49% of the town budget is education.
Somebody said that on the first, it's not in there, he presents his pitch. And
Right.
he does say that in his pitch, his presentation, it's very detailed, where he shares a lot of that, and he talks about the last, we have a contract negotiation, we just attended a meeting
Yeah, right.
this week,
Mhm.
But
on Monday.
the thing you don't, sorry.
But no, I was just saying.
But the thing you don't want to do is say, okay, it's mostly, as we are, it's mostly headcount and benefits. And then we say, okay, well, what else are we going to talk about? And what I'm looking at for is to have other things to talk about. And there are probably factors like enrollment, et cetera, that drive the spending you put into headcount and benefits.
Well, there's class size.
So you guys may hate me for this, but I went out to, I remember there was a Board of Finance meeting, there was a debate going on, and I think Kevin went out to Claude and said, give me this, and this, and this, and he had an answer that described the debate. Anyway, I went out to Claude and said, give me the items that you could use, the non-financial items that you could use to evaluate your education program.
Mm-hmm.
I can send this to you guys, but it came back with, Claude is obviously very gross, rough take at things, but it gave me, like, here, you know, if I wanted to pull 10 things out that we could look at,
Mhm.
here are 10 items that we should be looking at year over year to see how our education department's doing. The finance alone is just one dimension of the story.
All of these things for sure were part of his presentation, for sure. Graduations, number of kids, percentage that goes to college, AP classes, he talks about all of those.
And did he talk about
The per
multiple
pupil,
years?
no, not year over year or anything, the current, I think it's the last, you know, I don't know, it's just, I think the last year. There's certain things that are not special ed is definitely a part that they talk about. There's certainly things in here that aren't. But I would think that they have their own 9-member board like us,
Mhm.
and they determine how they're going to sell or present their story.
Right.
And
So you can't, we couldn't
we don't dictate to them.
give us this.
Oh,
page.
no, we can ask questions, but we can't tell them how to design their presentation. We can't tell any group. The only thing we can do is ask lots of questions, or we can request through Tom different things. But we can't mandate how they're going to do their presentation. I will tell you that Tessani's presentation certainly incorporated a lot of these, and
His presentation outside of the book.
yes.
Mm.
So just like Christine,
Yeah, with that, yeah,
when Christine starts,
Yes,
the first select person
right.
gives the presentation.
yeah.
It's a high-level presentation that's outside of the book, where they're talking about overall, this is what I'm thinking for my budget, I've added a head count, I've brought up this, I've done, it is a very high-level conversation on what's happening with the town. And that, hers will cover part of the board of ed, and the percentage, and the board of, and then when the board comes, he also has a presentation. Most of them do. Like DPW, Frank had his own presentation.
Right.
Michelle from the WPCA had a presentation.
Yeah.
Anthony had a presentation.
Yeah.
They all had a presentation, to be
Yeah.
honest with you,
Yeah.
where they're, sharing their various initiatives.
And the presentations by the town departments, you can say, we'd like to see you talk to this is.
Well, we can ask questions,
Yeah.
but again,
So
they're
Christine,
presenting, it's up to
she
Christine
decides what
to
she-
tell all of her directs how she wants to see the data.
Yeah.
So it would be a question or like that, she would have to mandate, but I want this template for every one of my
So
departments.
maybe that raises the question I was contemplating before we started, which is, so we've churned through this stuff, you guys are on the Board of Finance, what happens next? I mean, the last meeting, you did a write-up, I saw, and and included a bunch of things and the attachments.
Where do we go after this meeting?
Yeah, do you guys recommend something to the whole board?
Yeah.
So, I've never.
Yeah, I mean, we're not voting, so
Yeah.
we're gonna, and I would defer to the finance team, having gathered all this input, to maybe take the lead and say, here's the stuff we think is doable out of all the ideas we heard, and then probably in September, October timeframe, we go back to the entire
The total.
finance.
I got you.
So
Say,
we're
here's
not
the,
so the other time,
So what we've done now, we've
Really?
collected, we've heard a lot of things, we're working together.
Right.
We are revising the template for the book, we're drawing a calendar, and gonna get all that together, we're gonna sit down with Christine and say, here's what we think. And once we get that together, we're gonna go back to, before we get well into the process, we're gonna go back to the Board of Finance and say,
definitely by October, I would
Yeah.
think we would want to.
And you've really got a good jump start on
We started
it.
pulling those things together in November, right?
we're starting to pull stuff together now.
Yeah, which is terrific.
And there are things we can do now, we can do art charts now, there's a lot of things we can do.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we got, the process.
Yeah,
I think that would be great.
So the last one is probably there, based on this discussion, beyond what can be done, but, I was thinking, you know, the town has a POCD. Should the education department have, I mean, I know that in this book, some of the superintendent's data says, you know, enrollment rates going out the next 10 years. I think that's really good to see, and that tells us something about the town.
But it's never been accurate. Because they've always presented the year after next, for 19 straight years, it's continued to decline. That
But it's
enrollment continues to decline.
yeah, we used to, at
But if
times,
you look at their outgoing projections, it's always going to plateau and then
we
go.
used to call
Never
it a
happened.
hockey stick. That,
So,
you know, the next year or two was down.
That's
so,
It's not a sell business, so you do that.
Okay.
Thank you,
anyway,
Judge.
That was my last thought, and thank you all for giving me some time.
Thank you for the input.
yeah, we really appreciate all the work on
You
it.
are very passionate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I like that. I mean, I think it's important. So, I think that we've got some good feedback. I was glad because if we got no response, I was like, are we even getting me? Like, what's going on here?
No.
So I was very glad that we did hear from some folks and we put some stuff together. I appreciate it. As far as next steps go, I do think that there's value. I mean, you're obviously going to take back all the feedback. When we get to our next meeting, which we start, it'd be in the September timeframe,
Right.
there would be a time for committee updates. And at that point, we would be able to share that we had met on this date after receiving certain feedback. And, you know, we're going to present out, maybe get time and then, you know, either if you guys have it, but in the October meeting, present out the suggestions and ask Pike to put it on a little bit of time. And share just, we're going to use, you know, whatever it is, version of Google Docs. We're going to make sure we have all charts, we're going to have page numbers, we're going to take the simplest things to, we're going to have KPIs, and we're going to have, you know, different risks and opportunities, or we're recommending, like, that they're taking that back to Christie, and she's in the meeting anyway, generally speaking. So I think that will be our next steps, and also to kind of give the spiel also for people that generally have strong opinions but didn't provide any feedback. I want to say, you know, buddy, open your mouth.
Yeah, that ship
So-
has sailed. But in the meanwhile, you're going about, and maybe by October, you will have gotten the first select person's input. In
We will
terms of
have
what
that.
you're- You'll have it by then, so you
Yeah.
can contribute that to the discussion we'll have.
Do you think
at that
it
meeting.
makes sense for us to meet in like September to see what you've gotten, or like have another meeting as a committee, or do you think it makes sense, like we could wait and discuss
Right.
it?
I would
Instead
say
of
late
first.
September, late September.
So why don't we look at, so at that meeting, so this committee again,
Mhm.
meeting to, take a look at maybe your templates, what you've come up with, the feedback you've gotten from the
Oh, okay.
first person. I think that'd be
Yeah,
valuable.
that would- Yep.
And if we do have a COO at that time, it might be great to hear if they have ideas, although you're the CFO and this is more, I mean, do we go?
This is not good.
Yeah, yeah.
So Tom, do we want to go ahead, because I think we
Why don't we look
generally
at
calendar
calendar?
something?
We have a quarterly on the 15th, and we have a regular on the 1st.
Yeah.
So,
This is after the quarter, these, right?
and then we have a capital planning on the 24th,
This is October?
September.
September. We have one capital or?
So, yeah, let's,
So we got a quarterly, we got capital,
We
we got.
did have a meeting with Craig. So the current thinking is we'll do the normal capital planning meeting, capital summit meeting.
Right.
And then there will be a second meeting where we will discuss the details of the capital projects for the upcoming fiscal year.
Because they talked about doing two. It's like,
Yeah, so that is what the Board of Finance will vote on.
And what about I thought they were also talking about getting a thorough update on Dwight.
That might be.
That might be the quarterly on the 15th, perhaps, probably. Right.
So, I mean, we obviously can have a meeting whenever you,
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
I just want to make sure we are.
do you want to not set a date today and have some time, because
Let's do that.
maybe we can
Okay.
do it?
I mean, we are working we are well on our way with what we think we want to do.
So why don't we leave off, but you're gonna give us, we're not scheduling the date today.
Okay.
However,
Yeah.
you're gonna come back, so for the minutes, we'll put down that Tom is gonna give a recommended date for the committee to meet again after you've had some time to digest all the feedback and determine a template, if the first select person feedback, et cetera.
With the calendar, all works, yeah.
Yeah,
Good. I think
that
that sounds
sounds like a
great.
plan, okay.
Okay. So we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn? All in favor?
There's a-
8 o'clock, meeting at
1 hour is right.
8 o'clock. I will
Thank you very
now
much.
end the recording.
Send it to you, or?
Yeah, we'll do it.
I don't mind.